So, you did the smart thing, right? You got a UPS to protect your servers if the power goes out, and that's a great first step. But what if I told you that battery backup might just be kicking the can down the road, delaying a disaster instead of actually preventing it? Today, we're going to look at a really clever way to manage a graceful shutdown, and it works with pretty much any UPS out there. Just put yourself in your server's shoes for a second. The lights go out in the building, but for the server, nothing's changed. The UPS kicks in, it keeps chugging along, writing data, completely clueless that it's living on borrowed time. And when that battery finally gives out, it's not a nice, orderly shutdown. Nope, it's a sudden, hard crash. The whole problem really boils down to this. You've got your smart UPS systems, which are great. They have a data cable that literally tells the server, hey, we're on battery power. But they cost a fortune. On the other hand, you have these powerful, much more affordable dumb UPS systems, but they offer zero communication. To the server, the power is always on, right up until the moment it just isn't.
And that silence, that total lack of information, that's where the real danger is. Let's dig into what we're calling the server's silent problem.
You know, when a server just gets its power yanked without any warning, we're not just talking about a little downtime. The stakes are way higher. You could be looking at serious data corruption, a mangled file system, or even a server that just hangs in limbo, forcing you to go and do a hard physical reboot. And suddenly that UPS you bought for peace of mind, it feels like a total waste of money, because all it really did was set a timer on a ticking time bomb.
So, how do you solve this? How do you give a server eyes when it's completely blind to what's happening with the power grid? Well, the solution is just so elegant. It takes a classic old warning system and brings it into the digital age. Think of it like a canary in a coal mine, but for your network.
The magic here is this idea of sentinel hosts. These are your digital canaries. The logic is dead simple. You just pick a few devices that are always on, your internet modem, a smart plug, anything like that, and you plug them directly into the wall, completely bypassing the UPS. Now, if one of them goes offline, whatever, it could just be a glitch. But if they all go dark at the exact same time, that's no coincidence. That is a power failure guaranteed. Okay, so let's walk through how this is all wired up. Your main server, which is safe and sound on battery power, is constantly just pinging those Sentinel devices. See those little red dashed lines? The second those pings start failing across the board, the server knows for a fact the grid is down. It then immediately sends a shutdown command over the network to all the other protected clients, your NAS, other servers, and starts a graceful shutdown for everyone. So it really all just comes down to this super simple but really powerful three-step loop. First, the server monitors those canaries. Then, based on what it sees, it decides if there's a power failure. And finally, it acts, telling everything on the network to shut down safely. Monitor, decide, act. Simple as that. All right, so the server knows when to sound the alarm. That's part one solved. But an alarm is pretty useless if no one's listening, right? Telling a machine to shut down and making sure it actually does it without just hanging, well, that's a whole other challenge. And that brings us to the second piece of this solution, the shutdown script itself. And this quote from the person who created this project, man, it just hits home. I think a lot of us have been there. You're relying on some native UPS software, and when you need it most, the server just gets stuck in this weird hung state, totally unresponsive. This script was literally born from the frustration of dealing with that exact nightmare. And it gets around that problem with some really smart design. For one, it completely ignores those notoriously buggy standby modes that often fail to release system resources correctly. Instead, it just uses the good old-fashioned, universally reliable shutdown command. If the grid power pops back on in the middle of a countdown, it's smart enough to just cancel the whole thing. And, maybe most importantly, it's constantly reporting its status back to the main server, so you can see exactly what's happening in real time. Now, a clever script is one thing, but managing it, that can be a real pain. The last thing you want to be doing in a crisis is digging around in configuration files. And that's where this solution really starts to pull away from the pack by giving you total control through a super clean and modern web GUI. And here it is. This is your command center for the entire system. You can see the live status of all your Sentinel hosts and every single one of your clients, all in one place. You know exactly what's online, and if a shutdown gets triggered, you can actually watch the real-time countdown for each individual machine. No more guessing. And the configuration side of things makes managing all this incredibly simple. You could add new hosts, you can define their MAC addresses for Wake on LAN, you can set custom shutdown delays for each machine, and manage all your Sentinel IPs, all without ever having to touch a command line or a single config file. Okay, so you've got it all set up, it looks great, but how can you be absolutely 100% positive that it's going to work when the lights actually go out for real? Well, with this system, you don't have to guess. You can test it.
This, right here, is the ultimate confidence builder. You don't have to cross your fingers during a thunderstorm and just hope for the best. You can prove to yourself anytime you want that your data is safe.
The system actually has a built-in power outage simulation. With just one click in the web interface, you can trigger a fake outage and tell all your clients to start their shutdown procedures. You can watch them all go down gracefully, and then watch as they automatically power back on using Wake on LAN once the power is restored. You can even schedule these tests to run automatically, so you always know your protection is working perfectly.
So when you combine this really resourceful canary in the network idea with a bulletproof shutdown script and a powerful testable management interface, you get a system that brings smart UPS features to any UPS. It gives you reliability, control, and honestly, most importantly, peace of mind. Which really just leaves one final question for you. When you look at your own setup right now, could a smarter shutdown system save your server?